Hey, Dylan,
Yeah,
did you write an article on expandeduniverse.com?
I didn't write a article. I wrote like several.
Hey, everyone. Thought we'd talk about it. Look at this. Yeah. The Lost Holy Grail. Got yours in the mail yesterday. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So, kind of wanted to talk about it, break down a few more things. I have the folks, Amazon bean counter with me. I mean, this guy's going to be famous. What happens when you go to a con and they're going to be like, "Can I have your autograph, Mr. Dillon?"
I
What are you going to say?
anyone could have done this. All I've done is I've just gone to the Amazon listing of Heart of the Jedi every 3 hours and archived it on the Wayback Machine. Wrote down all the numbers of the different ratings it had and just graphed them for the last 7 days.
Yeah. Hey, Chris.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, Chris, have you met the Dylan Kling who writes for the Expand Universe? Have you met him?
The official holocron keeper of the Amazon bean counter. Yeah, you're famous, Dylan. You're famous.
I know. I knew this day would happen, Chris, when we would become irrelevant, and people would be asking for Dylan for advice.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan, we've been talking more this week than like we've talked like in the last like 3 years, but it's because it's been so exciting, the work you've been doing. So thank you for that.
Yeah,
So-
it has been good.
I guess I think I've said this a few times on the Discord, but I don't think I've said this publicly. I first saw the art when it went up at first that it was out on the 30th, which was Friday. I saw that, I want to say like 10 hours after it was posted, and I went and bought my copy, right? But I went to buy my copy. Got my first yesterday. But when I went to buy the copy, I noticed that it was 69th on the Science Fiction Adventures bestsellers list. And I thought, that's really interesting. I wonder how it's going to do. And for those who haven't been around the movement that long, back in 2014, 2015, we used to do these things called book buys, which is like where once a month we would all be like, hey, we're going to buy this book at this time to try to get it onto the Amazon lists. And I remember because I was the one who would usually like sit and I would sit there back when Amazon would update them up hourly. So I'd get where it was prior to the hour that we were supposed to buy them. I would see where it was at the hour we bought them, and I'd see where it was after they were already done, just to see the change. And unfortunately, we weren't as big back then, and also a lot of people had the books already, so we didn't get a lot of participation. But I remember I would do that, and they would update every hour. So after I saw I was at 69 on the Science Fiction Adventures list, I just said, well, let's see where it's at in like a couple hours. Because I refreshed after an hour and it didn't refresh. I figured out that now the update's every 3 hours. And I refreshed it again. And it was, hold on, I have the, and it had gotten all the way to 27. And I'm just like, whoa. And then I went at the actual page, it had gone from 1,668 on the overall Amazon sellers to 648. And I'm like, whoa, I wonder where, and it just kept going of like, I wonder what it's going to do next. And I would come back at 3 more hours and it would go down again. And then it would go down again. And there was a brief moment when like, it kind of had 2 peaks, or where it was like, it went up to about 22, 23 on the Science Fiction Adventures list. Then it dropped down to 36. And I thought, okay, it's done. And then it went up to 24. Then it dropped down to 50. But then it just went on the tear that it's on right now. It's still been on. And it's falling down, but it's like falling really slow and gradually, which to me says that there's still people buying it. Not as many people that were buying it, but there's still people buying it. So it's fantastic.
See, that's the magic that you taught that makes everyone swoon on the internet, Dylan. You're like the Elvis of the Amazon EU.
I remember the post. I saw the post, promoted the post. Just like Dylan took a quick look at the Amazon page and the rankings, right? Just made a mental note. I made a couple of notes in my notebook, right? I didn't take a screenshot. And Dylan and I talked, and I was like, hey, this would be, and you were already ahead of me. Like John Nash in A Beautiful Mind, you're like writing equations on the window. You've got these spreadsheets. So now you're like triangulating sort of like you actually have these like pretty precise estimates of like how many books have actually been sold. It's super impressive.
Yeah, Dylan looks at the world as the matrix numbers trickling down, and he just picks the code out like Neo. But no, we were talking about how this kind of started, how the post got put on there. I think me and a few others at the same time, it came up on the Amazon. Oh, here he is. Hey, Brian.
Gentlemen.
It came up on my Amazon algorithm, like suggested. And I was like, what? And at that same moment, someone had emailed me and said, hey, Matt, have you seen this Heart of the Jedi? I was like, yeah. Just looking at it, said thanks. I'll make a post about it. So I made a post on the website, and then shortly thereafter, 3 other people they didn't read my post. They were telling me about it. Say, have you heard about this thing? And I'm wondering if it just something happened. And like it looks at what Amazon follows. Internet cookies, man. They follow where you go, what you're interested in. And so if something pops up, it'll pop up on your suggested. And I think that's what happened. It started because, Dylan, you said it had come out, what we think, March 4th, correct?
So on the Amazon page, it says published March 4th. So I believe it's been on Amazon for over 2 months now. And we just within the last week, found it.
Yeah. And it just started popping up, I think, on some people's algorithms, I think, is what happened. Because, like I said, I got mine that morning, and like the other 3 people that hit me up about it, they had not seen my post yet. I'd already posted about it, and they were getting the information too. So it's kind of like, I think maybe that's how it kind of got noticed all of a sudden.
Something had to have triggered there.
You posted it. I can't believe you posted it and then didn't. I mean, you didn't tell me. Maybe you told other people.
Well,
I just coincidentally saw it.
I was working.
No, I mean, fair enough, right? No, fair enough.
I did the post real quick and went to work, and then everyone.
Listen, I was working too. I stopped working for a while after I saw the post, and I started shooting stuff off. And I think that, if you go back and search on Twitter now, I think that sort of the expandinguniverse.com Twitter is like it's time. I think it was like the first announcement, at least on that platform, start to get the word out. But you're right, Matt, about the way the algorithm. There's just sort of this tipping point. If you go back the last 6 years, people have drip by drip talked about this ever since it got posted at Joe's site. And every year or so, someone will do a review on it on YouTube. About a year ago, this new channel, Meg's Review, did a channel. Interestingly, a couple of weeks ago, totally coincidentally, Dark Snovia did a review of Heart of the Jedi. And isn't it funny how just all of these things, just little drip by drip, some tipping point occurs where all of a sudden, maybe someone sees his, they go to Amazon, someone sees Meg reviews, so on and so forth, right? People just reviewing Joe's site. Yeah. There was a certain magic there. And now to see how it's exploded is just so gratifying.
That's true. It just kind of overflowed there and then started hitting the algorithms. And from there on out, now it's kind of blown up. And of course, Dylan had to rewrite, a disclaimer on the Amazon site afterward. But I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. I would never throw Brian under the bus. But anyway,
never.
The poor guys.
He's smarter than that.
The poor guys a little scared, had to put a little disclaimer up there because I get it. He wanted himself to have his own copy, and he printed it, and he didn't think anything else of it from then on out, which is fine. But it's now turned into something where people know. Obviously by now, Del Rey knows for sure. I tell you that right now.
Yeah, there were on May 4th. They made a Facebook post and a Twitter post that was like, "What are you reading on Star Wars Day?" And I loaded up all the comments. I hit Control F and I typed in Heart of the Jedi, and I saw 5 results. And I'm like, can you guys have a little more comments? Let's a little more common sense, please.
Good. Well, it's like, where can you look at comics? Amazon. Amazon has comic books for sale too. Yeah. But just recently, actually, Nathan, they had a discount. We did a post on it, didn't we, Dylan? About the 99-cent trade paperbacks.
Yes, that goes up to
Comixology, wasn't it?
I want to say that's either over or today's the last day to get that. But yeah, it's almost every single comic that's out is there's few big exceptions, like Tales of the Jedi isn't in them. Dawn of the Jedi isn't in them either. But there's a whole bunch of comics that are either like 99 cents or $1.99 on Comixology.
One of the best deals in half a decade, you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes. Never since Dark Horse's blowout sale have we seen something as equal to this. I mean, it's not Dark Horse's blowout sale still, but still, you break it all down. You broke it down. I say we. Dylan crunched the numbers. Okay, let's be honest. I did nothing but say Dylan. I typed into the Dylan computer, and he spat out. It came up to $330, right, for everything.
No, it was lower than that, I believe.
It was lower than that. Okay. So that's a good deal. And again, didn't mean to bump my thing, but that's a good deal. So anyone, again, want to get the digital stuff. And even if it was 330 when we added all the other stuff that wasn't on sale. Was that the total? Either way, though, it's very close to what Dark Horse's number was for it. So
yeah, I can pull up the article, and I can, because it.
Yeah, here's Son of Luke. He said it's the last day for Comixology. So definitely go ahead and check on that. Thanks for mentioning that. But
yeah, it's just we've had so much happen in like the last week. Like we had that happen. We had the Hasbro poll. We actually got our guy winning for once.
When it rains, it pours, right?
Yeah.
Poor Dylan's probably seeing numbers right now in his sleep, if he sleeps.
Speaking of pouring, Matt, can we pull up Scott's comment again and see what he knows that he needs to start sharing with people? What else do you know, Scott? What else is out there right now?
Do tell.
Matt, I think you know.
You're so mean.
I still think it's you, Matt, because I think that just because, but it really, to me, I know the person, I did the video today, the person sort of added some more description at the Amazon page about, all the reasons they did it. I think the reason is clear. It's a test run for getting the Hungarian Han Solo novels self-published as well. So and Mr. Wilkins, only he can come clean once he's ready to admit
That's fine. I like every time, and I'm serious, because I laughed at this when Chris did his first Heart of the Jedi video. He starts going, and blah, blah, and by the way, I did not publish it. And then he has to again later on. And so we have this, and this looks like the back of Courtship of Princess Leia, which is dead right. It is. It's Courtship. He knows it's Courtship of Princess Leia, because I knew immediately when I saw it. He's like, Courtship, looks like they used all this. And again, I didn't publish it. It's like, oh, by the way, I'm acting like I know too much about this, so I need to, did not. You know what happened? You know what happened that morning after I watched a rooster crowed 3 times. So after he denied it 3 times. I'm just saying.
I'll tell you something interesting. I'm Mr. EU promo, right? Promo collector, whatever. Yes, I actually have an original poster of Heart of the Jedi. I've never told anybody. Yeah. Yeah. Of course, I made it today. I uploaded it to posters.com, but no, I'm kidding. No, but
that guy there, totally responsible.
Okay, so here's the deal. The only thing I had Heart of the Jedi, and I don't have any. I'm really upset by this. I used to have a bookmark, and on the bookmark it talked about Heart of the Jedi releasing fall of night or whenever it was, and it was on it was a Bantam bookmark with all the releases, the newest releases and upcoming. I waited for Heart of the Jedi for years before I finally said, okay, I guess it's not coming out. But I remember I had a bookmark that said Heart of the Jedi on it, and I regret not keeping up with that. I mean, it's a little bookmark, right? But one of my billion moves when I was, in college, something happened and it got lost, and it's gone now. There's one now. I know it's not there because I repacked that box last time. So, yeah. But I used to have a bookmark. That's the one thing I had that advertised Heart of the Jedi, because not many people know that it was advertised too by Bantam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because it was, that's the thing. It's not like it was some idea, at Bantam at the time that was sort of, someone was considering. No, it was done. It was complete, right? It had been submitted and reviewed and stuff. So,
yeah.
And I think even read by Lucas. That's one thing that I think Joe has is indicated. Because you read a lot of the early stuff. So anyway. Oh, sure. They said that. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Good answer, Scott. All right. So, by the way, if you want to know
Good answer.
If you want to know who printed Heart of the Jedi, I mean, we're not going to give away the guy's name, but he might be in the chat.
That's right.
That's right. I'm not going to say it's this guy or that guy. It may be that type of guy. You know, he may not even be American. I'm just saying. Okay. You know, he may just be a good old Southern boy. I don't know. Maybe that's who did it. You don't know. But anyway, Bean Counter has some beans to count for us. So go right ahead, Dylan.
So this is actually something that you don't even need. You can just pull up Google Trends, type in Heart of the Jedi, and you can look at this like in real time. So this is the 7-day. Unfortunately, if you go to the 30-day for like some reason, it does this, which isn't helpful at all. But the 7-day one is pretty accurate because I think it does actually update like on the hour, whereas the 30-day updates every day. But you can kind of see here. So like the peak obviously was like late May 3rd, early May 4th, and it kind of came down. It had like a little bit late May 4th again, and it was kind of downtrending. But I mean, about an hour-ish ago, it spiked back up again. So.
And I would say this, the more coverage that it gets, the more people are finding out about it. More people are finding out about it every day. And the people who saw people in the comments say, I'm getting 3 copies. I'm getting 4. Yeah, smart thing. I will say this, that I do know that Kenneth C. Flint, who did not publish it. That's for sure. He was able to get a copy. So, and I'd love to talk to him because I mean, I know he's happy that, because he was really, when you're an author, you're really proud of this book you write, and then it doesn't get published. And then you think it'll never see the light of day and that no one will ever care. So all that hard work went for naught. And so I remember when Joe approached him with putting it on the website, he's like, yeah, great. I mean, he didn't think anyone would care anymore. And sadly, that's what a lot of authors feel like, some of their old stuff, that who would care about that? Well, they don't know there's a rabid fan base who would. And he was really the first time around, he was, I mean, you can read all this on Joe's website, but he was really humbled to hear that so many people were interested in it. So many people got excited over it. And that just made him, he was happy that it was a story that could finally come out and he could share it. And, you know, you got to feel for someone like that. I mean, because like I said, you work so hard on creating a novel. Anyone who's been writing fan fiction, you know, because you've been writing it for 3 years now and you're saying, I'm stuck. Yeah, it's hard. It's very hard. But that, you know, people are able to see it and enjoy it, and he's getting to hear from all these fans, especially right now. Right now, the hype's as big as it's ever been. And you know, for an author, for a forgotten novel that was never going to amount to anything, that means a lot. As a consolation prize, I don't know if you guys know how the story goes, but folks, as a consolation prize, he was given to write some short stories in the Bantam, you know, Tales from Mos Eisley. Yeah. And it was like,
that's not the same.
Oh, wow, thanks. It's not like having my own featured novel that would have put me on the map. Because a lot of these authors did get a big boost in their career with Star Wars. I mean, you do stuff like that to promote your other stuff. Kevin J. Anderson lives off that. The man's written for so many IPs. He's attracted fans from everywhere. And then he sells his product. I mean, I bought Saga of the Seven Sons because of it, you know. And there's a lot of fans who did the same thing, and not just fans from Star Wars, but fans from Trek, fans from X-Files, fans from Superman. He did a Superman Batman one a while back. So he does IPs, and that's what they do to get their name out there. Michael Stackpole is also known for Pathfinder novels. In fact, probably more today than anything else.
He actually also did a World of Warcraft novel a few years back, which is interesting.
So, I mean, you do that stuff to bring in new fans into your own, and hopefully you like that they love your other ideas for IPs, but then when they may buy your other stuff right now. Is it still on Amazon's list top seller? I mean, yeah.
So just numbers I have. The last update, which was 157 on GMT, was it was 10th on the science fiction adventures list. It's 170th overall on the overall list, and I have them written 23rd on science fiction and 52nd on science fiction fantasy.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. When we did Prince of the Universe earlier this week, I remember calling Bruce about this. I said, wouldn't it be funny? It was funny because I didn't tell this because Bruce is very embarrassed about this. He sent me a link to the expandinguniverse.com, my story. He said, did you hear about this? I said, hear about it. Doofus, I wrote that. That's my article you're sending to me, Doofus. And then it's funny because he sent me another thing about the comic mythology. He said, hey, these comic books are on sale. I said, yes, that's the same web. Okay, Bruce, that's fine.
I would keep going.
No. I was just going to say that, again, the guy who posted it, I don't know who, but someone here is telling us also there may be an opportunity to get physical copies. I'm just saying, he's just a brave man to be talking so much in the chat like that. But anyway.
Yep.
I found out who did it, by the way. Sifo Dyas. He actually he traveled to Amazon.
Master Sifo Dyas.
Yeah.
Yes. Should have known all along. One of the things I found kind of interesting about this printing is they actually have the Star Wars Legends timeline. They actually label that in this book.
Yeah, and they got the Bantam logo on the spine, which was the thing that the 2015 one didn't have.
Chris showed that, and I was thinking, that is a beauty of a touch. I love it. And something else that, Chris, you didn't mention on there that I'm fickle. I love it. I like instead of the empty bars on the side of Star Wars, I like the full bars that are covered. See, I like that yellow bar.
Yeah, that looks good.
It looks better in the color wise. Yeah. Now both copies are fine if you can get whatever. I agree with Chris too, but this new copy is great and actually does look better. I love the Bantam look. I love the attention to detail.
You know, the 2015 also had it included in the Legends timeline, but this one, the new one somehow seems to actually match the font much better. I mean, so yeah, it's a cool improvement. I'm nostalgic for the old, but it's a great. I mean, people wonder too. You know,
I missed out on that 2015 copy. So when I heard this, I was like, sold.
It was so fast.
Chris, I think if you only bought it on day one, that was the only chance you got it.
Yeah.
I mean, they shut it down quick.
I couldn't believe that mine actually went through, right? Yeah, given that, yeah.
I bought it the moment it came out. Yeah. And I got my copy, and I went to go buy more, and it didn't happen. So thank you, Scott. That's all I want to say is thank you.
There's actually about Sifo Dyas, right?
I actually also ordered 10,000 Big Macs. I'm not say that bad.
So I was actually watching a lot of coverage of it, of like people's reviews of it recently because it came up, and they keep saying that they kept saying it's like, oh, it happens after Truce Bakura in Marvel 107, right? Because it was edited to fit within the continuity in 2015, but Marvel 108 wasn't out in 2015. Right. So I'm now wondering where that puts it in the continuity. Like, if you're being a real stickler and had to read everything in chronological order, would you do Heart of the Jedi first or 108 first?
I think I would have to put the novel first in my case.
It's interesting to see where Joe has put it on his timeline. I mean, I think at this point he is the most definitive voice on this question, right? So it'll be interesting to sort of see how he shuffles things around.
Yeah.
Being the editor, right? So.
No, yeah.
And Joe's site is StarWarsTimeline.net, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Not .com, which is also a great site, but not the same. Often confused him.
Yeah, his is really good. And by the way, folks, on Saturday, I did a Q&A with Joe. We're going to post on the website about his upcoming novel. He's working on Supernatural Encounters and the origins of how that came about. It got canceled during the Disney takeover and how it's been revised and what's coming up for it. So,
and can I add an additional teaser? He's got some info there about some potential lines on some additional lost material. So please check that out.
That's gonna post on Saturday. It's really awesome. There's some other news. I can't talk about it now. It's Joe's news to break. So I'm gonna let Joe break that, but I mean nothing big. I'm not saying like he found Sword of the Jedi, folks. No, but he has some other exciting news that he was telling me about later that was off the record. That's fun. It's fun extra stuff.
I think that this is public because I think I saw him commented on one of my threads or somewhere on Facebook. But I think he also said he's got a line on the original draft of the Empire Strikes Back rewrite. So
Okay. Yeah.
that
Okay.
could be. So he has talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Then. Okay. I didn't know. It's his news. When he
Yeah.
finds that stuff, Joe really does a great job. There's something else, but very little compared to that. So yeah, it's really awesome, and I can only imagine how many other authors. No, actually, it's in the article, Chris, about when I asked him about what other stuff.
Yeah.
He mentioned something. He doesn't mention names, of course, but yeah, there's some other stuff out there.
It's exciting.
That we're trying to get released, and so it's just so interesting. It's an interesting time. And by the way, if you did buy extra copies, good. If you didn't, you might want to, because here's the deal: once this is gone, it's done. That's it. It's not coming back. Forget about it. They'll be on top of that from here on out. But the thing is, there's going to be people, like there are people reading the EU now that weren't before. Like I guess our friend Nathan here is asking for suggestions on stories. Nathan, the chat is really helping you out there on some good picks there. But there's going to be more people like him, folks, that come along and they'll be like, wait a minute, what's this Heart of the Jedi? I missed it. Does anyone have a copy? And you're like, yeah, but I'm not giving it up. And hey, entrepreneur, if you want to sell a copy of some guy's bootleg that he put up on Amazon, then you should totally do that. I mean, I'm all for it. Those things would sell like hotcakes later on. But get it for a friend. Get it for. I mean, I don't know if Twin Sons Foundation can donate a bootleg copy. They can.
No. We briefly.
Why do you think I haven't said anything on Twin Sons stuff?
we briefly talked about. Oh, this would be a good thing to have, like for to have at a convention where it's like, no, wait, we were told specifically it has to be officially published, licensed. Yeah. So like we couldn't do that even if we wanted to.
So I will unofficially donate some, but it won't be through Twin Sons.
There you go. No, I'm excited, and for the people who are reading and enjoying it so far, it reads like a classic Bantam novel. I think, Chris, you mentioned this in one of your streams, but when you read it, it's not going to blow you away. It's not going to be a Timothy Zahn. It's not going to be a New Jedi Order or whatnot. But it's going to be, and it felt to me like just a classic Bantam adventure, which is fun in my opinion.
Yeah. I think the cover conveys that pretty nicely too. So I really do think they did a good job.
And I like the new background too, even though he pulled it from the Courtship of Princess Leia.
Right.
I like it. It matches well.
I'm hearing good feedback. People have already gotten it this week who had never heard of it before and are reading it, and universally are enjoying it, which I'm really, really pleased to hear. So it's just, again, I don't want to seem like some collector elitist. If you don't want the physical copy, if you don't
digitally
end up getting one, it's always available to read, which is the only thing that matters, right? So
and people have printed off copies from that digital availability and made binders.
Absolutely,
I did.
That's still an option.
But it's one of those things, and Chris, you're exactly right. You can always get for free on StarWarsTimeline.net. And the thing is, this is the amazing thing about the sales. When Dylan was telling me about this, I could not believe this, because this thing is free, absolutely free. Yet it seems like every fan wants one, and I don't blame them. You're looking at
as soon as they hear about it. Yeah,
I have self-printed out, a collection of ebook short stories, for myself. Everyone's seen my binders. What am I saying? I printed this stuff out. I like physical copies of stuff, like the web comic books. Back in the day, I'd copy paste and then print it out on a printer. Because I wanted a physical copy, and I'm glad I did, because those web comics are hard to get.
Sorry, it's your stream, Matt. I'm sorry. I'm like editing the comments here. I'm fascinated. I mean, Scott's got another one. The uploader of the Heart of the Jedi. No, I'm kidding.
Come on.
I totally agree. This, I think, Dylan, this is your next moment. I mean, I think Amazon is going to explode, and I think your graphs are going to break the computer. No, I mean, he's sending almost a million people to. Yeah,
I'm almost without my treasurer for a bit. Then is what you're saying?
Yeah, Brian, I'm thinking that you need to step down, and there's a new president now.
I've thought about it. I've almost done that to him.
Before we went live, Dylan had his feet up on a desk smoking a cigar. I said, okay, no, you can't be that cocky. You got to sit back on your feet.
Tone it down a notch there, VP.
He said, hold on. Yo, baby, we'll do lunch sometime. Ciao. Okay, I'm ready.
So on
okay.
On Saturday morning, because I've been doing it all Friday night and I have to sleep, right? So I got up after 8 hours of sleep, and I got it to do something else, and I didn't get back to it for another 4 hours. So I have in my graphs there, you can see it. There's an 11-hour gap in the data that bothers me to this day. That I didn't immediately upon waking up go on Amazon and refresh the page and get those numbers.
You should see his chats on our internal side over on Facebook. He's just message. Oh,
Dylan looked like a super. I listened to it on the way back. I was at a wedding rehearsal dinner, and Ryan, because I told Ryan about your stream today, Chris. I said, well, Eckhart Slatter said he'd like to do a video, but he didn't want to expose the book and then be responsible for it. Mm-hmm. And then an hour or so later, I can't remember. Ryan texted me, goes, "Hey, he dropped a video." I was like, "Shut up!" Well, it's rude to watch a video at someone else's wedding rehearsal. So I said I gave it another hour or so, said goodbye, and then left. And as I'm going, I'm of course watching the video. That's the first thing when I get to my car. And here I am hearing about how this Dylan Kling guy is just the best thing since sliced bread. He's got more fans than a Taylor Swift now. So, I mean, honestly, good though. Good for you, Dylan. I'm really proud of you.
I think if he would have started a YouTube channel right now, he'd pass us all up pretty easy.
Oh, that's why Ryan said he really doesn't need to start one, because I don't want to feel threatened. I'm kidding. But yeah, Dylan did get name dropped a couple of times. It was really awesome. I actually called
deserved. Yeah, he's doing a lot of work on this.
And deserved. I called and congratulated him.
I'm still doing work. The Amazon numbers update in 2 hours, and I've got to.
I was waiting for it.
I mean, you missed your calling as a meteorologist. That's all I'm saying. Okay, keeping those numbers up. This is an interesting question here. When a new book came out, Matt, I'll have everyone on the panel answer this, but I'll be honest. At later in the time, you always knew when a new book was going to drop. The internet, right? But let me go back further to Bantam, because there wasn't anywhere we could know that something was coming out. We did not know, unless you had the fan magazine that basically told you, which a lot of us didn't, and the internet wasn't that big a deal, and there wasn't really much direction on when things were dropping. You just had to look at for me, it was the Walden Books Coming Soon calendar. And on the Coming Soon calendar, you could, up to 2 months in advance, I think, you could see when a new Star Wars book was coming out. That was the only way I knew, was going to my local Walden Books and seeing the either 1 month or 2 weeks. I want to say it was 2 months, but that was the only way you knew what was coming out back then. So, and then sometimes it'd be a surprise. If you didn't go to Walden Books in a while, you'd be walking past, the Walmart book aisle and then go, "What's that?" I remember one time Walmart released Tales from Mos Eisley a week too early.
Oh.
And for some reason, I didn't pick it up. I was like, "What is that? There's nothing coming out." And so then I went by Walden Books just to see, because I usually get my books from Walden Books. And they said, "Oh, that book won't be out till next week." I went, "Really?" And I just ran back to Walmart. But they pulled it from the shelf. I was like, "No, I have to wait." And I grumped, Matt. I grumped, and I'm not talking to myself. I'm talking to this guy named Matt. I grumped for an entire week because I didn't get to read it a week ahead of everyone. I was so mad at myself. So I remember stories like that. Brian, well, let me go with Chris, because Chris has been around for a while getting these books. Chris, do you have any memories about the old school days of new books dropping?
I remember Walden Books, and I was looking over here because I have some old, Walden Books displays, right? That's what was so exciting about that. That was part of the excitement of seeing the new book too.
So before you go any further, what was that address of yours again?
It's all in storage.
Chris is one of the trips I plan to take. Chris, I'll trade you Brian's Queen's Gambit.
You got a deal. No, but the interesting one that I remember the most is actually walking. Where I lived at the time, we didn't have a bookstore, and you got your books at the grocery store, right? Like, because back then it was like the bestseller list, whatever. So I was just walking down the aisle, and there was Heir to the Empire.
Nice.
So the first time I saw it, and I kind of had vague notions that it was coming, but that was a really cool surprise. I'll always remember seeing that for the first time and just like not entirely expecting it. And of all things, picking up what ends up being the beginning of a new resurgence, just along with my bread and cereal. So anyway, not even in a bookstore.
Wow. Brian?
So in my case, I didn't actually get into collecting the EU books. I was actually taking them from the library, renting them out of the library a lot. But I did start buying them around the time the New Jedi Order started coming out. And that made the New Jedi Order all the more important for me, because every month I was at that bookshelf in Walden Books looking for the next one, not knowing where to look for the new ones, or when the release was.
It was Walden Books for you too as well.
Yep, it was.
That's amazing.
So it was, I remember that. It's probably one of my favorite things about the New Jedi Order was looking for those books every month, just hoping they would release. It wasn't every month, of course, but I would look anyway.
I sometimes talk to people, and it's funny when you talk to people who aren't Star Wars and you realize just how good we had it. Because I was telling them about like how amazing it was. It's like, oh, like with New Jedi specifically, it's like, yeah, so like the first book came out in 1999, and we had book 19 by 2003. And it's like, you got all 19 books in 5 years. Like, yeah. That's how.
Yeah. I know it's, and I want to talk about this one. I love this quote too. I know what you mean. Yeah. Because one of the fun things about Bantam is that, and Del Rey too, but they had that timeline. And I don't know about you, but I always check the timeline just in case I missed anything. And you wanted to know where the story landed, what timeline we're reading in. And it was exciting to see that timeline. It was I never flipped past it for any book I got. I'd always look it over. It was always just satisfying to see that new book just added to that timeline, another notch on the belt.
100% agree.
Yeah. There's a lot of little things. Hold on. Here's Michael's thing. Mind blown when we saw Truce of Kotor. Yeah. Here's the one that became, well, there's a few that became a surprise to me, but the biggest one, young adult books were not posted on Walden's Coming Soon. And so when I saw Young Jedi Knights, the first one, I freaked out. It had the foil cover on it. I was like, what is this? It's Jason and Jenna grown up, not children. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I remember I grabbed a copy, bought it, drove straight to Bruce's dorm. He was in college back then. I was like, what is this? What is this? He went, what is it? I said, I don't know. Do you have this? He's like, no, where'd you get that? I said, I got it at Walden. He's like, we got to go to Walden. I said, okay, let's go to Walden. We're just like, what is this? And we just read it. And it was from Kevin. I knew Kevin G. Anderson. Right. Oh my gosh, they made another novel. But it was a young adult novel, but it was still good. But that was one that just blew me away. And that you would never have that surprise today. Not that I'm bemoaning that, but it's just like those were different times where books could just slide under the radar. And I mean, Chris is right. At the bookstore when it came out, they'd have a nice display, but you had no idea. Yeah, it was coming out before that.
I had a weird experience as late as, I guess it would have been 2004, maybe 2005 when the Clone Wars micro series digests came out. I guess I don't remember knowing about them, and I remember turning the corner in a bookstore I'd never been to before, and seeing a couple of them there, and I was like, "What is this?" And it was kind of like almost. I think it was they kind of strangely put them in sort of a young adult section. And then next to them was the Secrets of the Jedi book. That one that's sort of like that 70-year long. So all of a sudden I was like, that was the first time I realized I need to start going to the kids section every time I go to the bookstore, right? Because of how and you see that to this day in used bookstores, like they'll mix up, like they've got the adult here, but then they've got the kids stuff over there. And I think the kids stuff never gets picked through anyway. So it was funny, as late as the end of the prequels, there were still surprises like that in stores, which was pretty fun,
Yeah. Hold on, the ghost author wants to make another. So that's how they took part of their thing. Yeah, I love how you did that too, man. I thought
Yeah.
it was really nice. No, I haven't seen the new one with the timeline and everything, but I do like some people are doing giveaways for it and everything, and that's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's what it's there for, and it is really amazing. Like Eckhart's Ladder was kind of just just going it was unbelievable to him how this bootleg copy was just outselling everything for a short time, and it just shows the strength and power of expanded universe fans, and there's a lot of us out there, and we're still wanting to have anything from that old universe. And I really do hope the big wigs are watching. They're looking on in interest. I really hope heads are turning.
Yep.
Well,
Chris was right. He did his video this morning. You were saying it's not about sticking, a thumb in Disney's eye, I think is how you phrased it. It is definitely not. This is really a good way of pointing out just how much money is being left on the table, and how could they could easily change that by just producing a couple EU novels, and we'll be all over that.
I've said it a million times with the Twin Sun stuff, with like putting up billboards, that what do fans want to do? They want to spend money to prove that they want to spend more money on books, right? And here was a case where we had a chance to spend money on a product, and every single EU fan came out in droves, right?
That was impressive.
And there's not a single one I know out of us here. No one has ever. I mean, even me, I fought for when Disney bought, I was like, please keep the EU. I know you're not, but please keep it. And then when they said, okay, it's Legend, I was like, all right. So then I stopped and I said, okay, well, I hope you just continue that storyline. I never once said, no, make that canon again. And I'd never talk like that. I've never said anything like that. All I said is, okay, that's fine. Let people have their new canon. I'm totally fine with that. I've always said this. I'm totally fine with people enjoying the new canon. I don't want it scrubbed and thrown away. No, there are people out there who enjoy it, and they have every right to enjoy it. But we enjoy the Legend storyline, and there's no reason that can't continue as well. Right. It's not malicious. You don't buy this book and give Disney the finger. No, it's buy the book because you love it. Buy extra copies so you can share that love with people. I mean, buy it because enjoy it because you're an EU fan and you love Star Wars and you love this story. And to be honest, like Chris said, putting your money where your mouth is and just saying, hey, this is something I'm interested in getting. And hey, I wish it was Del Rey printing this out.
Oh, me too.
And someone said, oh, thank goodness it didn't have the Legends banner. I'll tell you this. If they reprint it and it has the Legends banner on it, I still buy it. If they bring out Sword of the Jedi and put the Legends banner on it, Matt buys it. I don't make a bootleg copy without the Legends banner. No, if they want to print out new stuff under the Legends banner, I'm gonna buy it, and with a smile on my face.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I'm watching some of these comments coming through. It's very interesting.
What's neat about this, and I think Eckhart sort of spoke to this a little bit, which is, I mean, he's sort of speaking for a massive part of just the broad Star Wars fandom.
That's impressive.
Which is all excited about this. This isn't just an EU book for us. This is a new Star Wars book. Everyone's excited about this, right? I think I remember sort of a tagline that came out of some Twin Suns celebration planning years ago that I think is so powerful and really speak more Star Wars for everyone. That's the goal. It's not more EU. It's more Star Wars for everyone.
That was one of my favorite things that we discussed. It is about bringing more Star Wars to everyone for everyone, no matter what part you like. If you like canon, we want more of that. If you like Legends, we want more of that. Right. Everything. More Star Wars is a good thing.
Yeah, more. Yeah, I'm totally for that. Like I said, I don't want to ruin the fun for anyone. Everyone keeps saying, Matt, I wish you'd watch these videos and just trash them. What's the point? It's a waste of energy for me. I don't want to do it. But then there are people who do enjoy it, and let them enjoy it. I've always been like that. Sure, I poke fun, but at the same time, I don't care.
By the way, fun at certain EU books too.
I know. Do you guys know that there is a forthcoming new canon short story entitled "Heart of the Jedi"? So I think it's coming out in the fall, and I can't wait. And I don't know how it's being released. It might be like an insider short story, but when that happens, I can't wait for the next surge of sales of this book, right? When people Google.
If it's still up, yeah.
If fair enough, right? Yeah.
Well, so I don't know if I've ever been asked this directly, but in case people are wondering, I'm going to attempt to cover this for either as long as it stays up or if it ever falls off of the science fiction adventure list completely or out of the top 10,000. Because most Star Wars, most like old EU books are like within the top 10,000. So once it passes that and is no longer in it, then I'll probably stop looking into the numbers as deeply as I am, aside from looking to make sure it's up. Well, that or if it goes down. But at this point, it's been up for over 2 months, a week since all the traction has got it. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but it's still up.
Still surprises me that it's up.
And I'll be honest, I remember on my podcast, I said, wouldn't it be funny? Because I told Bruce, wouldn't it be funny? Because it was when I saw it, Chris, it was number 71,446. Yep. I was like, yeah, that's about right. and then I thought, and then I remember saying, wouldn't it be funny if this thing made it to the top 500? I don't think I don't know if it has a chance. Well, wouldn't it be great? And then I'm looking, and it's number 26 one. I text Dylan that morning. I know it was 5 a.m. for Dylan, but I was like, what is going on here? It is number 26 right now. I had I mean, when it was at 462 on Monday or whatever, I made the comment, folks. I made the comment, like, wow, in the top 500. That is, and if it just would have done that, I still would have been shocked. But then later on that evening it was 88, and I was like, it's in the top 100. And I thought, well, that's the flash in the pan. It's gone.
Yep.
And then it kept going up, and I was like, oh no, you're kidding me. If this thing
35, 30, 29, 26.
And I told that was May 4th, right?
Yep.
Morning, and I told Dylan, I said, well, I said they won't pull it because it's May the 4th, but they'll definitely take it down. If it would have been number 1 on May the 4th, can you imagine? Can you imagine? It's just crazy.
I would literally refresh the page. I would update all my charts and stuff. And then I would pace around my apartment going like, what is going on? There's no way this is possible.
I was in an all-day meeting on the 4th too, and I was trying to refresh my phone like every 10 minutes. Like,
no,
they're looking. No, how's it doing?
It's a story that Scott Johnson put up. Ryan, you can ask Scott more about it. He knows about it.
He was collaborated with Master Sifo Diaz, from what we heard.
That's right, Master Sifo Diaz. That's right.
I got to agree with Lance here. There's a thread in the comments about whether or not we want Disney or whatever writing new EU stories. First of all, Disney doesn't write stories. Del Rey and the licensees commission authors to write stories. And yes, the answer is unequivocally yes. Give us the chance to read a bad story, right? So give us whatever who knows, it might work, right? So
give us Crystal Star 2.
Well, I mean, here's the
thing. Sequel.
Yeah. EU wasn't batting 1,000. I think I said that I was pretty clear on my very first review when I trashed Dawn of the Jedi, and I could see everyone's collective mouths go, but Matt loves the expanded. And I love the first one that I did. The first book I reviewed, I just bashed after me, the guy who loves the EU. But I wanted to make the statement there that the EU is not perfect, or at least to me it wasn't. There was some stuff I didn't like in there. Like, I Jedi is obviously the worst novel in the world. But the thing is, though, I'm fine that other people enjoy it.
Well, Matt, you are entitled to your opinion, no matter how wrong it is.
Jack, the sequel to Red Harvest is Death Troopers, and it's a lot better.
Yeah.
By Crystal Star.
Crystal Star 2.
No, I think it does matter who they get to write, though. I mean, there are a lot of names that have already mentioned, and we've said this time and time again, but they've mentioned they'd be open to writing for the Legends timeline again. And I'd be pretty excited to see just about any of them write again.
Yeah, that's the thing. And the same comment, I've said this, I've addressed this before. I would hope they would go back to the old authors. I'd hope they'd follow the old formula, because it's not broke, don't fix it. And, we just don't know. But I agree with Chris. Give us a shot. Now, you could say, well, I don't think Lucasfilm is going to make that happen right now. True, yeah. It's going to take a while. But, hey, you never know, because something like this comes around, like Heart of the Jedi starts, going gangbusters, and they're thinking, well, it's a great way to keep, the franchise going, because I've never been for kill Star Wars, make it die. It must die before it must be reborn. No, I'm not for that. You kill Star Wars, everyone loses. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I respect people's aesthetic preference not to follow something that they think is being led by the wrong people. If they don't want to buy it, they don't want to follow it, they don't want to support it. I respect that. But again, it's this weird academic moot sort of debate. It's like, look, the EU is gone. They discontinued it. So we're already not getting stuff. So it's like, in some ways, it's a weird argument to have. It's not as if like, you know, they're about to give it to us, but we get a chance to say no. It's like, no, like we're working really hard and have for 7 years to convince them that there's even the idea of a parallel continuity and continuity. You know, we've had to convince them of the idea, and we're building momentum. And clearly this is another moment in which we're sort of proving our case, or whatever. So again, I say, let it rip, give us something, because we're getting zero now. So
yeah. Gentlemen, this question is asked.
It's a good question.
Well, I'm listening. Dylan, do you have an answer?
I'm gonna say Cade Skywalker.
Cade Skywalker.
Ooh.
Interesting
I
choice.
think you didn't do him justice.
cool.
Okay.
Interesting choice.
Brian.
I'd personally like to see more use of Kyle Katarn outside of the video games in the novels. I know that one's a pretty popular choice.
Yeah.
Chris.
I'd probably say that, or again, my slightly eccentric my ongoing case for Platt O'Keefe, but I think Kyle Katarn is that's the winner, Brian. I think, yeah.
We posed this question a long time ago, party, and he had said Platt O'Keefe, and I was like, I regret my answer. I never would. I just thought it was just such a great answer because I immediately got it. Obviously, I go with Kip Duran, but if I have to pick someone different that deserves more stories, my brother was a big I just lost his name right now. Timothy Zahn's trilogy. He was the Slicer.
Ghent.
Oh, Ghent.
Ghent. My brother really liked the character Ghent, and was just disappointed when we don't really see him much, or if at all.
It's an interesting choice.
So Ghent was interesting. So yeah, we kind of didn't see any more of him. So
that is an interesting choice. I agree. That one would be good too.
Ghent. So there you go.
Guy Ghostfist, I don't know if you've read it, but Jaden Core actually has a duology. It's a bit later in the timeline, but he is heavily featured in the Cross Current and Riptide duology.
Author sheet. I mean, eventually you would need to bring in new authors. Yeah, I think so. But you gotta start it off on the right note.
See, Ryan.
I thought you'd say Lando. I thought you'd say Lando too, Matt. Yeah.
I was shocked he didn't say Lando.
I'll be honest. Now Lando. I mean, obviously, that was the one thing I think Del Rey got wrong, is they didn't give us. Lando took a really big backseat through a lot of the stories. Bantam had him in there a little bit more. And I mean, Lando is. I heard the argument a long time ago. He's just a cheap ripoff of Han Solo. You used to hear that back in the day, and I disagree. I think he's very different from Han Solo. He's such an interesting character. And to be honest, read L. Neil Smith's trilogy. It made me a Lando fan. I was blown away. I was expecting zero. Like I said, I think I said this before. I read those. I bought all three of those old Del Rey books when I was just starving for new EU, because I always saw them at the bookstore. I never bought them because they were from a different time, and they didn't contradict anything, but they weren't officially part of the new canon or the canon at the time. And so I said, well, how am I going to read these? Well, I'm going to read Lando's Calrissian trilogy first, since he's the least interesting, then Han Solo, then my boy Luke, right? You can't go wrong with Splinter in the Mind's Eye. And to be honest, it was probably flipped that way. Lando's trilogy is just fantastic, followed closely by Brian Daley's, which is just a masterpiece. And then Splinter in the Mind's Eye was okay, but nothing compared to the other two. But I remember reading Lando Calrissian's trilogy and just laughing because it was just so good.
Mm-hmm.
So good. If you don't know, there's a running gag, and I think it's just one novel. It could be in all three. I don't remember, where Lando is. This is not spoilers. He gets in a situation where you think, oh my gosh, how's he going to get out of this? And the very next chapter is the word sabacc. It's him winning the pot because he decided to play cards with him. And I would laugh because L. Neil Smith did that more than once. And that was a joke that bared repeating. And every time it got more and more funny because the situations became, more and more overwhelming. And it's just I don't know. Like I said, and then it got me just loving Lando, and I appreciate Lando a lot more. And yes, I'm not ashamed to admit it. Lando, Mara Jade, all the way. I was for that.
Yeah.
Matt, you better hope your address is hidden.
I know, for real, right?
Race Squadron was always fun too.
Lando's not an EU character. Yes, true, but I wish he would have gotten more stories in the expanded universe. And that's why when Rich Hanley first talked to me about the Sequart book, he didn't realize that I was a super geek. And when I was talking to him, I was like, "You're Rich Hanley." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, he said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, no, I know you." I said, "I loved Idiot's Array." And he paused for me. He was like, "Oh, yeah, thank you." It's like, how would you know that? Because I remember I was so excited of a new Lando short story, and I thought it was really good, and it ties in a lot of his lore. And that's all I wanted. He wanted to get me onto this book deal, and all I wanted to talk about was Idiot's Array and all the connections that went into it and how he did it. I mean, if you're an EU author, you're probably going to be like, "Where is my can of mace? I need to get this guy off of me." It's just, if these EU authors weren't as kind with their time, everyone. And I hear Troy Denning's a little bit of a jerk, but to me, he was really nice. He was really nice to me. And
folks, we have an update.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Heart of the Jedi has gone from being in 10th place on science fiction adventures to 6th place. On science fiction, it went from 23rd to 10th. On science fiction fantasy, it went from 52nd to 25th. And on the overall books, it went from 170th to 95. It is back on the top 100 books list.
Wow.
Thank you, Eckhart's Ladder.
Pretty much.
Yeah, seriously. The Lando books are a little strange, but there's one where they talk about the galaxy of, what was it, orangey orange, grapey grape. What it's in the stellar interstellar system, it's called the Silly Rabbit, because he's defining it as a Trix commercial would. Yeah,
Right.
but I absolutely love that joke. It is super cheese, but absolutely loved it.
Someone asked about the last EU story, and it's not Marvel 108. It's the SWTOR short story that came out.
Yeah,
yeah.
Star Wars The Old Republic does short stories.
Waru's still a little bit busy with Matt Wilson after the whole EU tournament debacle.
Yeah.
Good question.
Anyway, that guy. Favorite EU lightsaber design that you love so much? I mean, to be honest, when the double-bladed lightsaber came out, it was through Kevin J. Anderson, and I thought that was just really cool. It took me a while to understand how that would work, but I was like, "Oh, I get it." And then seeing it in episode 1, I was like, "Hey."
There's a great article in Wizard Magazine issue 100, November 2000, by the creator of that, the graphic artist for the Kotor comics, that goes into that. So it's a fun thing to check out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
gentlemen, any other unique lightsaber designs?
So one of my favorites was actually Satil Shan's from the Old Republic. I actually got a pseudo replica, but it's colored a little differently. It's a nice little.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Oh, wow. Hold on. Let me blow up your.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Look at that.
Yeah, so this is one half of it. It's a dual-bladed saber. You can.
Yeah, I was about to say,
but it's definitely one of my favorite designs.
Yeah, let's see. Any Dylan? Any designs you like?
So my designs. I would probably say Tenelkaz, just because of the Rancor tooth. I don't know if there's any other Jedi that has like an organic handle for their lightsaber.
That was a good idea. I really did like that one.
It's great.
Yeah, hey, you told me that. Yeah, people have been buying it, hearing about it for the first time. It's great. It's great. Yep. Yeah, that guy's a little bit off his rocker, I think.
Someone mentioned
Yeah.
Nomi Sunrider. Yeah, we definitely need more of her for sure.
I love Nomi Sunrider. I loved anything from Tales of the Jedi. I was Tales of the Jedi is just a fantastic comic book, and another one that I thought would be crap and was actually really good.
Do I have an estimate? So
Yeah.
I use
Inquiring
it.
minds want to know.
So I apologize because I have to qualify these numbers. But there's this website, TCK Publishing, that has a BSR to sales calculator where you put in what the bestsellers ranking is, which is what the overall ranking. So right now, it being at 95th, that puts that to a 1 day's worth of sales is 666. Now, because it does hourly, I've been dividing that number by 24 and graphing it, and through trapezoid rule, which is a way of calculus of basically determining an area underneath the graph, which gives you the numbers. I have gotten a number that my current number right now is 3,200, but I've been informed that that's actually an overestimation by about, because they usually overestimate by about a third. So once you factor that into account, the modified sales, which is most likely closer, again, this is just an estimate, is somewhere in the 2,000s.
It's quite a few copies of this thing.
And I would probably estimate that there are fewer than 100 copies of the 2015 edition out there, just for reference.
I would say that.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know, but I would assume Marvel's been doing a great job with those epic collections.
They're very good. I've been enjoying them.
I think, and I know a lot of that stuff's out of print and hard to find, but I think eventually, as long as it keeps selling, yes, Marvel's going to keep reprinting it. That's what I'll say. I mean, I don't know because they haven't released any information on that, but unless anyone here on the chat knows anything about that.
No, I don't know.
Not that I've heard, no.
But again, but to that point, Matt, I mean, and someone was reminding me today that, like, in addition to all this other good news, the fact that there's 2 versions, by that I mean, like, there's 2 different covers now of, like, the KOTOR Omnibus by John Daxon Miller that's coming out too. So outside of the Epic Collection, they're investing in Star Wars old content for the Omnibus program too. So it's just another, again, there's a lot of confidence in the aggregate demand for this stuff. So,
and
all right. So here's another question. I'm guessing it's not. Would you want Christy Golden to write Sword of the Jedi, or would you want another author? I mean, obviously, my thoughts go to Troy Denning on this because I just enjoy him so much. But is there another author you would like to see, or is it Christy Golden?
I think I would keep it with the original just because I'm so curious what she would have done with it.
If she's not coming back, if she's not coming back, give it to Kevin J. Anderson.
That
would work.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm so
that would work.
100%. You've changed my mind, Dylan. Kevin J. Anderson.
He would do an awesome job with that.
He just, to me, I know he gets a lot of hate, but the thing is, though, I feel like he just writes some classic Star Wars. People say, oh, but the Sun Crusher. Well, the Empire was all about super weapons.
You'd probably need someone to fill him in on, like, the last 20 in-universe, like, 20 years of events since he stopped writing, but, you could do it.
Dylan agrees with you, Dan.
I'd be interested to know how many subtle things she would have put into that book, or maybe already had, right, but claims she hadn't yet. How much of that stuff has she worked in or plans to work into her World of Warcraft novels? I mean, about Jaina, by the way, about another Jaina. But I mean, I
always laughed about that.
It's hilarious, right? I always say, hey, we want a Christy Golden Jaina book. We finally got one in a different universe. But it's like, I have to think that part of the story as to why she's so evasive about what would you have done and how far did you get? Because she, again, given when we know it was going to come out, she claims, I barely even, opened up the typewriter,
She's claimed that it was just one book, not a trilogy at some points.
Right. That's totally confusing too, right? No, but I think she's partially holding back because, frankly, she doesn't want to give away any ideas that she can use later, right? So
and to Chris's point, that's why Tom Veitch won't release Lightsaber.
Right.
Because, well, first off, with his outstanding, disagreement with Lucasfilm, but also that's just something that he can take. He's already finished that, piece. but then he wants to, if all he had to do is change the names and change the setting, and it could be just a random science fiction story.
Sure. By the way, like Kevin Anderson with the House of Seven Sons, right? Which was originally pitched for the
It was originally pitched to Bantam as a story where they're mining the Bespin gas mines, and out of the gas comes this alien race. Like, what are you doing? And they start just blowing things away. They blow away Cloud City and then go on a rampage. And that was his idea. Well, then when they didn't want it, he just reinvented that idea for his own story. And that's what authors do. And that's why they want to keep. That's why a lot of authors want to keep these unpublished stories close to their chest, because that's something you can take and then do something else. They get paid to write these ideas. They get paid to write these adventures. And if they can't use it here, then they will retool it and use it somewhere else.
I've said before that at this point, what I would actually prefer is, because on the one hand, it would superficially seem to be easier to deliver. I would just prefer outlines from authors about where they wanted to go with the EU rather than having to read a whole story. But in some ways, I think that's actually much less likely that we'll ever get, because again, precisely for the points you make, Matt, these authors want to hold on to these ideas for future projects now that they're not getting published in the EU. So good luck, right? I mean, the fact that Troy Denning has divulged as much to you as he already has about where he kind of thought things might go, it's surprising to me, honestly, right?
Yeah. Well, in that case, in Troy Denning's case, Troy Denning didn't have anything written on paper. Mm-hmm. He just had an idea that he was able to present to me.
Right. Okay. Right.
Here's what I thought. So in his case, it was a little bit different because, again, he hadn't written things. This was his idea. And they don't mind talking about their ideas because it's not written. If it's something that's already, you know what I'm saying? Like if something already written, then we just change the names.
That's
like Chris Claremont did and retold his crappy story as a Willow sequel.
No.
You can't tell me that's a sequel to Willow.
It is, but you know what though? It is. There's an interview with Chris Claremont by Brian Young on YouTube.
That's garbage.
Where he says that he was told by Bantam, who published those books, not to make it about he at the last minute though. And I'm trying to remember the story now. Shoot, I'm getting confused. But believe it or not,
the name Willow, the title character of the movie.
I'm telling you, this was not some flim flam. This comes from the man himself, who he sat down with Lucas. And so believe it or not, I know it feels that way. That's become an increasingly bad example of this, because believe it or not, as weird as those books are, I think as standalones, they're fine. But as weird as it is in terms of a sequel to Willow, that's actually intentionally what they always set out to do. I know it's weird. I know it's totally crazy. Google this tonight. Interview with him and a couple of guys.
I don't want to waste any more time with that series. Have you read that series? It is horrible.
Do you think so? Really?
I don't really mind it. Did you enjoy it? Hold on. Did you enjoy it?
I have to be honest. I've not read it. I listened to there's an audiobook version of it.
That's why you don't mind it right now. You haven't read it.
You know the audio version. It's Odo from Deep Space Nine. He does it.
Oh, I love it.
It's really good. But I really enjoy it. I've actually listened to it quite a few times.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it was a chore. It was like it was worse than going to work. I'd rather go to work than read those.
I mean, it's nothing to do with Willow. It's the weird thing, but
yeah, but it didn't feel like it was of that earth, of that
no, it's totally
world.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It felt like it was on sci-fi. It felt to me that Chris Claremont wrote a sci-fi adventure. He couldn't sell it. So he went to George and said, "Hey, you know what? We could call this a Willow sequel."
I know your mind's going to be blown. It's the complete reverse is true. So,
well, I mean, if I was Chris Claremont, I'd lie my ass off too about it.
By the way, Blue Pig Gaming asks, "Are the Willow books in any way part of the EU?" Yes and no, for a variety of reasons. There've been hints for years that they could fit within the universe. There was Leland Shee at one point was going to include Willow, and there's actually a Willow EU. Right, he was going to include it in the holocron. Then there's an infamous joke that Wikipedia did years ago, where it's the April 1st joke one year, where like Willow was now part of the EU, and Joe Bongiorno is going to work parts of Willow into Supernatural Encounters. So yes, the answer is yes and no. And for those reasons, by the way. I have the Willow RPG supplement book and stuff because it is part of the vast expanded universe.
And by the way, I know Joe does that, and it ticks me off, and he knows it does. And I love Joe completely. I'm like, Joe, you can't mix He-Man with G.I. Joe, brother. It doesn't work. It's two different worlds. And Joe is this is how he thinks. This is how a lot of editors think. and other people. I've talked to Rich Anley before. The way he analyzes things and tries to make connections to everything. Ryder Wenham does this. A lot of authors I've talked to they make sense too. But Joe's also doing the ET Green Planet connection too,
which is more legit in my view. I mean,
I get that. Don't worry. I had to read. Remember, I've read this before, and I was like, "Come on, Joe, quit doing this. What's next? The Last Starfighter? Is he going to show up?"
By the way, Matt, I'm thinking really hard. In our next video, I think I can connect He-Man to G.I. Joe, by the way. I think there's actually a way. But we'll have to pick that up later. Because, by the way, He-Man actually, they did a Christmas special. They learned about Christmas. They learned about a holiday on this planet. And of course, G.I. Joe takes place in a world in which there's Christmas, and so does Mask, which is part of the G.I. Joe universe. And then Micronauts and Thundercats are owned by the same company. So I actually think He-Man's connected to basically every cartoon from the 80s. Challenge accepted.
But if Joe can just, if he can look at that, there you go. If he can get, that's so funny. If he can get Highlander, I'll be okay with it. If he can get Highlander to fit in there, then I guess I'll take that. No, Joe loves connecting things, and you can't argue with Joe because then he's going to come up with a nice logical way. Like I told you, he said, well, Matt, there are, because he keeps talking about the way that Legends and the new canon can fit together. I was like, no, please stop doing this. He's like, well, remember in Marvel comic books, they go to that alternate. I don't want to talk about it, Joe. Joe, remember West End Games, they have Other Space. Other Space is these creatures that go to other dimensions. Yes, Joe, I know, and I love Other Space, and you're trying to make sense now, and I don't like that. He just knows it so well, and he knows I love Other Space too. And he's right, but I just don't want to do that. Now, someone asked me a fun question. They said, would I want Cara Dune to flip over to the Legends universe? Sure, they don't want her, I guess.
You're trying to cause problems, aren't you?
I think someone asked me once. I was like, I don't know about her character, but I say, sure, I guess. If they don't want her, we'll take her.
No.
Because then we'll get stuck with Wendick, too.
We'll get stuck with Wendig.
Mr. Gorbachev, build up that wall. There is a stark separation between the two. Thank you.
Who is actually on that? He's actually on that coalition of authors that teamed up with for the royalties thing.
Yeah,
he's one of them now.
Yeah, I will say this. If, as everyone knows, we reached out to Lucasfilm about getting rights to Legends and stuff, and if it would have gone through. I said this to this group here, and I was kind of joking, but I would seriously have asked Chuck Wendig to write a story for us. I totally would have done that.
You did. Yeah, you did say that. Why not?
I did say that, and I was like, you know what? I think that should be it because I'd love to,
Anyway, Chris, someone asked about the 2015 edition.
Yeah, I've got them right here. I can do
Chris, review again, right? So
here's some superficial differences, right? So the one I guess right here is 2015, and so like Matt was saying, like different colored bars. Obviously, you can see like the colors. One's a little darker, one's a little lighter. This is the most recent version, which has got the Bantam Spectra logo, which is pretty cool. The backs are different. Okay, so. A different cover art. So the one on the left is the 2015. The one here is the new one. Again, that's the Courtship of Princess Leia art. Internally, there's like very subtle differences. One thing is that the 2015 edition here puts Joe's editing notes and then an introduction by Ken Flint in the beginning. The most recent version puts in the back, just a superficial sort of difference. And aesthetically too, I think the only other major difference, beyond the fact that they're slightly different lengths for whatever reason, just different font size and stuff, is you can see this is the 2021 version. You can see at the top, every page has a header. That is not true with the 2015. So that's kind of a cool improvement in the 2021, right? The one additional thing I'd say is that print on demand, it's variable quality. The 2021 is really good, but there's this very noticeable. It's just like, this is just because I'm a book collector. Can you see this? Can you see that little crease right there?
Yep.
Most modern print on demands have that now. For whatever reason, that is not the case on the 2015. That's one reason why aesthetically I give the slight edge to 2015 being like the slightly better book, even though I think in lots of other ways, I think the 2021's a cool improvement, but you can't go wrong with either. People have asked me, given that it's print on demand and stuff, is it low quality? No, it's a really high quality book.
I have seen one very egregious misprint. I think I sent it to Chris.
Yes, where, super duper collector's item.
I think they sent it back though, unfortunately. But they were missing in a museum. They were missing like 300 pages. The back print was like super off center. I think like the first like words on that back paragraph were all cut off.
Yeah, Chris, do you have a hardback version?
Matt, you've really
oh no.
You've hit a sore spot. I'm about to admit the greatest shame of my entire life, which is that I have everything. I've got things that people haven't heard of. I've got the promos. I've got this, that, the other. The one thing I don't have and will never get is a hardcover edition from 2015. And honestly, I've never said that out loud. I've never admitted that publicly. And after this video, I'm going to go jump in the river because it's over. I mean,
no, I was just asking because you ordered.
And every time you show it, another part of me dies.
Okay. Well, I thought you would have, because I thought
current version of me thought I would have gotten it too, but it was one of those deals where I was so fast on the paperback, I was like irrational, right? And I didn't even think.
Look and see, you just ordered, yeah.
Chris, I have Matt's address if you need it.
Well, can I tell you?
There's going to be ones that exist. And actually, I think, go ahead.
Someone about 2 years ago on eBay was selling their Star Wars collection. And I saw in the photo, like I was the Terminator and I could like see like infrared. And I went right to that part of his photos and he was selling the hardcover edition. And I said, dude, here was the weird thing. You had to buy the entire collection. Okay. And I said, please just let me have that. And he goes, I can't do that. The dude was selling the entire thing for like $50,000. Like, even I don't think that's worth it. Although I came close. Maybe it was 49.5.
Well, I went online the moment it came out. I got a hardback and a paperback because I just wanted to have one of each. I was just so excited to get it. Yeah. And I know you've been showing off the paperbacks, but I didn't know if that was because you were doing paperback.
Right. Believe me, I wish I could do a hardcover review too.
I wasn't trying to brag about that. But,
no.
So do I have the only hardback?
I think so. Out of all of us.
No. I think I know of at least a couple of others. By the way, the funny thing is that, Dylan, to your point about there's maybe only 100 or so, I bet you that we all know everybody personally, right? That's what's interesting because but I think that
you're not wrong.
I think I don't know. I don't know how I know this, but I think there's a couple other people who do. But like really, Matt, I think I've only heard of maybe one other. But Scott's mentioning here in the thread that Dennis Moyers, who uploaded it in 2015, who is a great guy. He loves both canons. He's got some different groups on Facebook. He still has the hardcover files as well as the paperback. And if anyone is interested, write to contact@expanduniverse.com and I can send you the files if you want to try and upload a version for yourself.
But if you do it, you need to send Chris a link.
That would be great. That would be great.
Now, it would be nice if you bought him one.
What was that address again, Chris?
Well, it's funny. It's funny. Like I've got such the collector's bug, right? That like, and again, I can go upload this if I want and make a hardcover version. I've got the files, right? And someone else could. But it'll never be from the 2015 wave, right? That's the thing, In fact, Dylan and I were nerding out this week about how we're since they're print on demand, these new ones have a date inside, and the date's different, right? So we're talking about how we've got some April 30th editions. Now people are getting like May 4th editions. Imagine having like the March 4th edition, which Matt, maybe you do. I don't know, since you uploaded it. in the first place. But
what is that worth?
that is the ultimate collector's.
What would you pay for the March 4th edition?
I don't know, but Scott's going to put it up on eBay soon. Okay, so let me ask about Artie McFly's question here. EU cover art is Dark Empire for me, Dave Dorman. Who would not put Dave Dorman?
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's not Dark Empire, it's Crimson Empire, but it's Dave Dorman all the same, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Dave Dorman.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Anyone else?
You know, I agree. I actually got to meet him at the last Star Wars celebration in Chicago. It was a lot of fun. He's a very good guy.
Scott, I'm in love with you. Please do that. That would be fantastic.
Hey, Scott, you need to reach out, contact the Expand Universe anyway.
That sounds like he does to me. Yeah.
I'd like to talk to you.
So one thing
I don't want a copy of that, but I want a copy of something else.
One thing we kind of glossed over in this whole hysteria over Heart of the Jedi here was that recent announcement by Del Rey saying that Shatterpoint was getting an audiobook soon, a full release, unabridged audiobook.
Yeah.
And that I found extraordinarily exciting because that never happened before now. And I'm kind of thinking we need to start pushing for more of those. If they're willing to do this on their own, why not show them we'd like to see more of those too?
Yep.
Yeah, this is something I've talked about a couple of times. The unabridged versions of audiobooks definitely need to start coming out. That would be great. One of the reasons, and Bruce and I mentioned this on our podcast this Monday, is that the reason why I didn't listen to many of the audiobooks back then is because they were abridged. And I didn't want to listen to anything abridged. I thought the sound effects and the music and that's pretty cool. But then I noticed they were skipping chapters, and I was like, that's not cool. And I literally could. It was like Rogue Squadron. I think I was listening to, and I was like, I can't do this.
It doesn't feel right.
And so if they did unabridged versions of all the old novels and stuff, because I think they started doing unabridged halfway into New Jedi Order.
Is that right?
No, it was later
that early. Yeah, I thought it was later.
Okay. I couldn't remember. But the thing is, though, it was a while before they started doing unabridged. And there's really only one book I had to listen to on audio. That's because I forgot to bring it with me on my vacation. And I read like a book a day. It was the Fate of the Jedi series. And the last book I had on my shelf, I didn't bring. I said, well, I won't read this many books, but I did. And so I had to go get the audio book. That was back when books were on CD, but it was unabridged. That's the only reason I got it. And so I listened to it literally on the way back from the beach.
Oddly,
go ahead.
I was going to say, oddly, as you guys probably know, there's unabridged versions of almost all of the Star Wars books. It's just that they were never commercially released. So they were actually produced, but then they sort of reside in the Library of Congress just for posterity's sake. So
Interesting.
Isn't that weird? Yeah, you can't really listen to them. Yeah, so they're all produced. But
Blue Pig Gaming, you can get a copy of that. That's in a paperback novel of New Jedi Order. I can't think of which one it is now.
Is it Star by Star? I can't remember, but
maybe. But yeah, you may be right. Maybe in the paperback version of Star by Star, you can get it for print. In fact, that was the good thing about Del Rey back in the day, is all those ebooks later came out with a paperback edition of the novel, and fools like me would buy it twice because I had to buy it when it came on ebook, and then I'd buy it when it came out in print. That's why if you look at myself in some of my videos, I have the same book twice. That's because it has an extra story with it.
Absolutely, yeah.
You get the episode 1 special edition book because it has the little extra story. You get the Timothy Zahn's Heir to the Empire 25th edition, not because of the nice shiny cover, but you get it for the short story.
That's right.
I mean, it's smart. That's why I said with this epic essential collection, they should have included a never before short story, and I guarantee you, I would have bought it.
It's a stupefying oversight, but I'm glad, Brian, you brought up the audiobook. In a avalanche of good EU news the last several weeks, this is one of the most strangely neglected headlines, which is that we're kind of getting a new thing of EU, like, you know what I mean? Like, in some weird way, it's like you said, like, we have not ever heard it this way. We've never ever had the chance to.
It certainly wasn't something I've seen any of the EU movement really push for.
No, exactly. So it's like, it's so cool that they're testing the waters, and I sort of feel like, please, and there is something that Del Rey's been doing.
it occurs to me that after we went to try and get the rights for the Legends, content, they were saying that you could really only do that with already existing content. So maybe that's why Del Rey's trying to turn their eyes towards this already existing content and reusing it in a completely new way. Interesting.
I think there's that angle too. I think a lot of it too is also about how it's just changing media landscape and stuff, right? Again, I've talked about this before. Most of the new canon is now sort of visual. It's on Disney Plus. I think realistically, if we're going to get new EU, we might actually get it in the form of a new audio story. See, that's something to consider. Del Rey, I think now at least once, maybe twice, has now put out a story on audio first. They did some like Dooku novel that came out just as an audiobook, and I think they later then they created a novelization of it.
Yeah, that was a huge thing too.
Yeah, it's a big experiment. They're moving in that direction, and it may fizzle out. It may be like ebooks were 20 years ago, and everyone thought that was the wave. But it's like this could be the future of Legends, right? So we'll see. Worth pushing for, I think.
Yeah, no, and it's one area of the expanded universe I never really got into was the audiobooks. I only started listening to some of them recently, the few that weren't abridged, and they were pretty good. Next up,
hey, John. Yeah, I would love to see Escape from Dagu.
Blue Pig, this is the wrong panel to ask that question to.
What's this? Do you not know Waru is the greatest being ever created?
I know, because we're all going to say Waru, because who's this Geode guy? Is he like some
Inevitably.
rock or something?
I get this question a lot. Any chance of other unreleased books finding their way to Amazon? Yes, anything is possible. Anything is possible. I'm not saying that, Scott's going to put something up tomorrow. I'm just saying that.
No, he has to let Heart of Jedi run its course first.
Yeah, but anything is possible, folks. Anything is possible. I'll guarantee you this. If unpublished stuff ever makes it out of the out there, then it's going to be published on Joe's site for free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
guaranteed. You're going to see it there. Now, from there, yeah, you could see it at some other place. And look at this. Look
hey,
at this. Hey, man. Thank you for your video.
Thanks for the video.
Awesome job.
Yeah. Yes.
Dylan, I don't know.
Shout out.
Dylan, that's the little smile Dylan has. See, his bean counting, he gets picked on by a bunch of us for it, but it's like you justified it. He said, "See, I told you it was worth it." Everything. And Eckhart's ladder, he's still counting right now.
Yeah.
And Dylan, tell him it seems like there's already been an Eckhart's bump, right?
Oh yeah, go ahead and tell him.
Yeah. So I don't know if you're here earlier, but when we started the stream, because I keep track of the numbers, it was at 10th on the science fiction adventures, 23rd on science fiction, 52nd on science fiction fantasy, 170th overall. It's dropped to 95th overall, 25th science fiction fantasy, 10th on science fiction, and 6th on science fiction adventure. So it's right back up there again, or not back up there, but the big thing is, which delays my numbers, is that each of the lists updates like every 3 hours, right? So like the books list will update, and then it takes like an hour after that for the listing page to update with what the books show. So when it dropped off the top 100 books, I would now get the updates for all of the lists, and then I would have to wait an hour after I got those updates in order to get like the actual where it is in respects to everything, because that would only update on the listing. But now it's back on the top 100, so I don't have to worry about that. At least for the moment.
Yeah, and we were Eckert, we were talking about this just before the stream started. I think that's how the stream started, because I was on the phone with Dylan and I congratulated him. I said, "Hey, that was a really good job you did putting that together." Eckert Slider giving you the kudos there, and then I talked to Chris right afterwards, and I said, "Oh, we'll have to get on here and talk about it." But yeah, that's. You make a video like that. Ryan makes videos like that. People make videos of that, and just it blows up. More people find out about it. And to be honest, it's not a bad thing, because at this point, everyone knows. When I say everyone, there's just no way Lucasfilm does not know now. There's no way. And I think they're just looking on in interest right now. I think they're holding back that trigger weapon right now. If it gets too much, then yeah, they'll shut it down. But it's the month of May. I told Dylan I think we're getting a pass because of May 4th, Revenge of the 5th. Someone said the 7th awakens. Please don't tell me that's a thing, because I've already made fun of both dates on the site, and I did not know there was more. Right, let's see. Yeah.
No, I think that was probably a good move.
Yeah, and it's always a good move, Eckert, to talk to Chris about it first. That's what my conscience said, Eckert, because I have two things. I have a poofy angel and a poofy devil that pops on my shoulder. Poofy angel is, well, probably all three of these guys together, and then the poofy devil is me with the evil genius idea, and then Dylan's angel is shaking his head like this
all the time. And
Brian feels uncomfortable. He said, "Okay, let me take off my twin son's badge right now. I'm talking to you about this."
That's been the hardest thing about all that.
But I'll be honest, Chris's little angel comes over and puts his arm around me every once in a while. It's comforting when I have these evil ideas. And I won't say it here on the stream, but I told Joe, and Joe goes, "You know, I love crazy, Matt." But,
that idea? Yeah, you are crazy.
Yeah, that idea. Come on. Everyone knows that Han shot first.
I mean, there's no challenge here.
Dylan shot first. But yeah. And but anyway, yeah, thanks for that video. That was really good. And I think it's good that more people realize this and see that it's out there, because a lot of people still don't know. You think about this, and the numbers it's put up is far from amazing for me. Okay, far from amazing my expectations. But that it's done this with zero advertising, zero marketing, zero anything. This is just little fan sites picking it up, then YouTube channels picking it up, people finding out about it and going, "Oh, I've always wanted a copy." I'm looking at channels, Chris, and you probably have too. You did that Heart of the Jedi search, a few days ago. I started doing the Heart of the Jedi search just to see anything recent popping up. There's channels I've never even heard about. And generally, I saw one channel that I don't think generally does Star Wars videos, or that's not their main focus, but he's all excited because he got Heart of the Jedi, and he starts talking about the history behind it. That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
well,
and again, I'm
Go
telling friends who aren't even hardcore EU fans, who are just, they're Star Wars fans, they're just into sci-fi pop culture. It's just such a story that it's, and I think Eckhart's video proves this, and I think the response to it proves it. This isn't just kind of a cool win or a cool story for EU fans, this little corner of the fandom. It's for every Star Wars fan. They're all excited about this. It's just such an amazing story, right? So it's bringing everyone out of the woodwork to talk about it. It's an exciting, fun thing to talk about.
Oh, and it's the same thing we've been trying to demonstrate for 7 years, that demand is still there and just as strong, if not stronger than ever. And we'll be happy to shell out cash for new stories.
Again, we've been talking about the 2015 edition for the last couple of years, thinking, hey, 100 people probably got it. That's all who ever cared about it, right? And now we're finding out that there are thousands of people who evidently have, I think, joined the fandom since, who are now discovering it for the first time, right? So it's great. It's been such a fun week, right? So
it has been a fun week, and Blue Pig Gaming. Actually, Chris was the one that told me about Meg Reviews. I'd never heard of it before. Yeah, definitely interesting. I did think about, there was no way to contact her. I did think about to invite her to one of my 6K streams, but there's no way to. I don't even know if she knows who I am, to be honest. I mean,
Which, by the way, is so cool, and I've sort of picked that up. I'm trying to figure out, how does she get her EU news, right? It's not clear. And I love these moments, and you realize that you find another Star Wars or EU fan who doesn't know about any of us. That's so cool. It's the number of people out there that are into this stuff. It's just growing all the time, right? There's so many people. Who haven't we met yet, right? So
yeah, she actually, because I remember watching her Heart of the Jedi a little bit before all this happened, and she had she had printed it out and had a binder of it, and I'm just like, oh man, if only you knew that there was a copy available, and now there is one again.
I'm pretty sure she does. I think she stays on top of things, and everyone's here talking about Meg Reviews.
She's fun. She dresses up for the particular story, right? It's really creative. Yeah,
she does. And I just like it. She gives a detail, and she'll rip into something. And I think she ripped into Jedi. What?
Interesting.
Well, nobody's perfect there, Matt.
That's why I wanted her on the show, so we could talk about how terrible iJedi was.
Oh
By
no,
the
you
way-
just needed a rematch with Ryan and I on that whole
It was so
debate.
bad. That she even had no, Brian, it was so bad. She even did an outtake video of something else she didn't like about iJedi, and I was like, go get him.
Yeah, maybe I should give her a watch.
My favorite Meg Reviews quote of all time is Corin Horn is an acquired taste. And I don't know if there's a better way of describing him than that.
By the way, Eckert Slider, I don't know if you're interested in joining, but if you'd like to, you can just reach out to us on the website.
yeah,
I'd like to have you on. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you're busy or not, but you're more than welcome to join, since it was your video that we started talking about and started getting started. And I really appreciate that.
Speaking of iJedi, I had to tell Matt this, and he put it in his articles. It's actually a little known fact that the origins of Star Wars Day actually go back to 1998 for the release of iJedi. And that's what started this whole trend of Star Wars Day. So you have iJedi to thank for Star Wars Day. I'm kidding, of course. But it did come out on May 4th, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
It's the only Star Wars book up until 2017 that came out on May 4th.
Interesting.
Yeah, that tournament you're holding there, it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of that.
Definitely.
That game, if out of all the games that have come out since the decanonization of the expanded universe, that's probably the one I've been most interested in. So if Legends is ever officially continued, I think I'm going to give that one a shot pretty much right away.
Yeah, it was a big one. Hey, I don't have his contact information. Eckert Slatter was someone that I was going to try to get on one of the streams last month. I didn't have your contact information, so.
Well, if he's up for it, yeah. I mean,
if you want to reach out to us, reach out to us on the website, and
or I could reach out to him on Twitter too.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Eckert Slatter. I'm not. This is the social media people all over here, and this is the old man who does it. I have email me. That's all.
Oh, there we go.
But that is a good chance for us to shout out that we are looking still for more authors for the expandeduniverse.com. Always interested in getting
he's pretty busy
on
on that. I mean, if he wants to.
No, I mean for anybody that's in this chat. I mean, we're always looking
for sure
new content. So
it was one of those things where I was trying to get. There's a few people that I couldn't get, and I was like, how do you contact this guy? And I got it right there. So I will reach out to you, and then Chris will reach out to you the hip, cool, proper way through social media.
All these kids in their social media, Matt.
I'm telling you,
These kids.
Oh no. But yeah, it's one of these, like, just to pick back up on something what Chris was saying, that it is an exciting time. It's one of those rare times that we have. It was just like the EU news just kind of snowballed. Yeah. I mean, here we were just 2 months ago talking about the Essential Epic Collection, the toys, just this revival, the
Titan collection of short stories.
Yeah, Titan publishing collection stories. And then you're like, well, that's really cool. Then the audio release thing, and then we keep talking about the upcoming toy vote, and that's pretty cool. And we had talked about the Hungarian Han Solo novels that are now finally getting translated. We're talking about which my review on that is going to blow up in another year or so when those finally come out. Yeah. But and then also with the Ewok little comic books and from Germany and stuff, and that's really interesting. And by the way, one of the things Joe answers is how they found that, which is an interesting story, which I didn't know.
Yeah, that's funny. I forget I have that. I actually
standing like this, like Superman, the hair blowing in the wind.
I'm in a suit. It's like it's a very old photo. No, I I forget I have that. No, the expandeduniverse.com Twitter account. That's the other one that I'm behind.
So I saw somebody asking how they can reach out to put content on the website. I think we're asking for everybody to email contact.
Hold on. Yeah, I'll do it. You want to type it in there, or I got it?
You got it.
Yeah. Let me learn how to spell.
Oh yeah, and there's also all of the limited run game releases that keep coming out from the EU era, like Republic Commando's coming out too. It's another amazing success. It's happened more recently.
There we go. So Yeah, no, it'd be good to see some more content creators on the website too. I always like seeing other opinions from other EU fans. They always have interesting stories, it seems.
We have some interesting stuff, and some interesting stuff that's coming out is one, I don't know. It's funny how, like I said, I usually just put that stuff on there, and I had totally forgotten. We just had Spencer's article hit. What people don't know is he submitted that the day he was in the hospital having his first child.
Oh, wow.
Sitting there in the waiting room, and he had nothing better to do, so he just typed up that article for me. And I forgot it published today because I think I mentioned that article on a stream a while back when he first gave it to me. And I just, when I read something, I forget when I scheduled the post. So we're looking at stuff for mid-June right now. I came up, Chris came up with an excellent title to an article or set of articles I wanted to write called Beyond Thrawn. That's going to come out next month. It's people telling me about some alternate starting points rather than Timothy Zahn's Heir to the Empire.
The boring correct answer, as we call it at Twin Suns.
Whenever we're donating books, where do I start? The boring correct answer is Heir to the Empire.
Well, and I'll be honest, I'm guilty of always saying that. I've always said that. But I was thinking, you know what? Seriously, if someone was new, where would be a good place to start? Now, to be honest, there's one I did not put on there, even though I love it. But if they were interested in, let's say, because I was thinking about it depends on what they're interested in, right? I've always said that. Are they a prequels person? Are they an original trilogy person? Are they an Old Republic person?
Well, we've actually started asking, are they favoritive towards a particular character too? When we're doing our donation events, it seems to be a good way to figure out if there's a good book for somebody, as if that character is featured in that book.
Yeah,
but,
and so I just kind of put in one that I didn't put on was
the Ewoks Picnic Surprise, the children's book from 1983. Of course, in my view, the best place to start.
That one or Adventures in Colors and Shapes.
No, but what's the one you forgot to mention? I'm curious.
Tales of the Jedi. I didn't forget to mention it. I decided not to, even though I think Tales of the Jedi is honestly one of the best stories in comic book history. I really like Tales of the Jedi, but I'll be honest, I don't know if it would capture you those first few issues.
It depends on where you started.
No, you'd start on issue 1. But the thing is, though, you read those, I don't know if that would get you hooked. It got me hooked, but I don't know if it'd get everyone hooked. Jedi Master that looks like a Triceratops. I don't know. But then you move on to the second story, and it's the Freedom Nad Uprising. I love that. But it's 2 issues, and it just kind of goes by, and then that's it. So I felt like maybe you get into too slow of a start there. But after that, it kicks off, and then you're like hooked, right? You are now invested in Nomi Sunrider. She just isn't just some one-off character. You're really invested in her story and everything. So I passed over that one, even though I like that one better than some of the ones I picked on there.
I think.
Go ahead. I was going to answer this question real quick. Pretty cool. Not that I meant to do this, but just so happens that the very last episode will post on May 25th.
Nice.
Wow.
It
Perfect.
just I say the last episode, but the last episode that I have will start. The one that I have there is May 25th. So that's kind of poetic in a way, and it is episode 500. So
nice.
And then we'll be done until new stuff pops up, and then I'll fit that in the timeline. The series is it's not going away. It's just not going to be a regular thing. And to be honest, for everyone bemoaning it was going away, I had this years ago when I was doing my Defending the EU, and I finally said, I'm stopping that. People are like, no, don't stop that. We'll find something fun to do.
Well, when the top 10 movie or videos going to start being posted, Matt?
Oh, I don't know. I'll do that next. Oh, now this is one. You know what? I do not know the answer to that. Was it finished? I don't even know if it was.
That's a good question.
From what I understand, it was drafted. Like they had an overall draft of what they're supposed to do, but it was never purely written. Like the framework was there. What Chris, help me out again. What was the trilogy you just mentioned earlier today? The Ninja Order trilogy that didn't make it.
Nightfall.
Nightfall. Supposedly, the first book was written. The second book was in its first or second draft,
Right.
and the third book had the outline but wasn't written.
Right.
That's kind of where Nomi Sunrider was. She had the outline, like they knew from start to finish what they wanted. They just didn't start writing it. That's
Interesting.
But again, grain of salt, because who knows.
That was one of the many casualties from the falling out that Tom Beach had with Dark Horse, right?
Yes, because
that's right. Yeah,
and so that's why they canceled it, because they didn't want to mess with it because the lawsuit was going on at the time. They could have gone ahead and done it later, but they decided just to, just move past all that.
Now, supposedly, though, by the way, just going back to the Nightfall thing, I had heard several years ago that we had closure, that Friedman had basically like lost the computer. But I've heard rumors, faint rumors that may not be true, that there may be, and maybe it's just in terms of he's in some position to maybe tell us about what he was planning to do. But I've heard rumors that there may be more there than just a story of it got thrown away years ago. So
interesting.
Which would be very, very great, right?
You're telling me there's a grail out there, and I have to get my dad and go on a huge adventure to find it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. No,
I mean, again, I just thought that was just, lost chance. I just thought it was over. But
you say stuff like that, and to me, you look like Indiana Jones with the chalkboard in Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's like,
I know, it's crazy.
The Lost Ark.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm so embarrassed when someone asked to see the 2015 version. I accidentally almost held up my copy of Escape from Dagu. So I'm glad I didn't put that on camera. So,
well, if you would give that to Scott so he can publish that with his other one.
He's already working on that. It should be up by the 25th.
Right. I'll be disappointed if it's not there now.
Yeah, it was taken away. I believe it was they didn't like the direction it was going with the Force. Is that correct? It was going away. And I said this, and I was incorrect, and only 500 million people corrected me in the comments. Thank you very much, bunch of jerks. Blood Oath was from Legacy of the Force, not New Jedi Order. But in Legacy of the Force, it was mentioned in another book because it was supposed to be part of this.
And just like Escape from Dagu, the events from that are mentioned elsewhere. So there's this sort of.
Where is Escape from Dagu mentioned? That's interesting.
I'm forgetting now, but there's something about it that it's like it's not. I don't even know if it's mentioned in a story. It's mentioned somewhere in some obscure sort of written on the back of a napkin. I need to look up the story, but it is somewhere else. So,
but Blood Oath. The reason it didn't make it is because Elaine Cunningham had health problems. And so she wasn't able to finish the book in time for the deadline when they needed it. And so they just went ahead and just passed it up. And it was, for the most part, as we know, completed. I mean, not final draft and whatnot, not like Escape from Dagu, but it was basically there. She just was doing some edits, rewrites, but she never got around to it, missed the date, and they moved on. Now, to be honest, it's a shame because that was starring Zeke or Zek. I don't know how you pronounce the name. But the thing is, though, from the Young Jedi Knight series, someone that we hardly hear anything about. I mean, we saw him a little bit in New Jedi Order, but we never got his own book. And I was like so interested in that book. I really wanted that book to come out. And there was an attempt to reach out to Elaine Cunningham, but just like a lot of other authors, she had that on. Remember, folks, this is the late 90s, early 2000s. Digital didn't exist. The digital world didn't exist. So you saved it on hard drives, on zip drives, dude. By the way, I found my novel.
Oh, wow!
I was cleaning up my room. And I found it. So I'm going to brush that puppy off and start writing.
Oh, dear.
Look at coming to an Amazon store near you.
Awesome. Put a Legends banner on it.
That's right.
Sorry, that's awesome, Matt. I want to know more about that. Please.
Go ahead.
The Escape from Dagu, the mission, sort of, I think like the Prison Break or whatever it is, it's mentioned in one of those Pablo HoloNet news updates that you used to get an Insider. back during that
okay.
era, the updates about the war or whatever. So it's
Mhm.
sort of mentioned and as an aside. So there's a sense in which the events of it are canon if the book doesn't actually yet
Right.
exist,
Yeah.
except for
So-
the one that I have on my desk. But
So when I was making the quotes document, I was going through a lot of the old articles that had all the quotes in it, and in them there's a bunch of interviews with Leland Chi, and there's 2 instances in those interviews where the person interviewing him says that Leland Chi was going to show him the holocron, but realized that there was stuff on the screen of the holocron that hadn't come out yet, that he had to like cover the screen and like scroll past. And Leland Chi, and granted this was at Celebration in 2015, told me when I met him that he still does have the holocron. So I wonder if even if the authors themselves don't have them or no longer have them, if because they were supposed to come out and he had to catalog everything, if those things are still on the holocron.
Don't do it.
wow, that's awesome.
Where's he live? I'm kidding. That's interesting. I mean,
It's probably a route that we'll never get any traction on, but like it's plausibly the only route that we have for
we
some
just need
things.
to break into his cell at Celebration. I'll wear some Stormtrooper armor. I'll say, I'm Matt Wilkins. I'm here to save you. We'll just take him out. We'll escape through the garbage route.
Is our battle cry going to be the ever popular "Free the Chi"?
Free the Chi. We'll break him out. He'll be so happy. There'll probably be a reward, more than you can count, Dylan.
That's quite a bit, actually, as we've all found out.
She better. I don't know. I can imagine quite a lot, says Dylan.
Oh, by the
That's
way,
funny.
speaking of the website, and
If someone will get this big furry walking carpet,
I actually have an article that I wrote like a month ago, and kind of is the precursor to all this Amazon stuff I've been doing that comes out tomorrow. So check out the website for that.
Is that the one about the different covers? The Zon
Yep.
covers? That's. I peeked ahead. That's a fantastic article, and it got the collector in me going. And now, it does.
And now you wish you would have known.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
You know, Chris, that Dylan actually told me he was writing this specifically for you, right?
Yep.
It
so you
works.
go, shoot, you're right. I don't have that. I need that now.
It's true. It's true. By the way, no joke. People know what I'm talking about when it comes out tomorrow. I went and bought another version of the book.
knew it.
So now I have like 17 versions of Heir to the Empire, thanks to Dylan. So, anyway.
Freaking predictable.
there is something that I want to address. And I think this was in Eckhart's video, and he made an interesting point that it's not on Audible. But to be on, and I think Eckhart, you even said that you wouldn't be opposed to just reading it off and doing your own sort of audio book for it. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I thought that sounded fun.
Think
So
that's
somebody
something-
did that recently with that recently released Old Republic story. They got an audiobook version of that up. I actually saw several people do that. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of those shows up for The Heart of the Jedi.
Yep. It's a great
Yeah.
idea.
No, it made me think, because there's something else. I think they're gonna. I mean, because audiobooks are. Well, I mean, I guess I can mention it. Joe's thinking about doing an audiobook for Supernatural Encounters.
Yeah.
Awesome. That'd be good.
And because that people would want that too. People love audiobooks, and so Eckhart had mentioned that too. I was like, yeah, it would be nice. So maybe we can talk to Scott about putting an audiobook up there. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. I got to go, guys, by the way. But Matt, thanks for having me. Thanks for putting this on. Eckhart's, thank you for the video. And by the way, thanks, Eckhart's, for everything you do for Star Wars and Expanded Universe. So
Always awesome content.
And Dylan, thanks for the amazing mathematical work you've done. Brian, thanks for everything you've done. Matt, thanks for everyone. This is just the thing. I'm like, Oprah, thank you. I've got such. I'm just so pumped right now about the EU and where it's just been such a fun week, and just gets better and better. So with that, good night, and talk to y'all later.
All right, bye, Chris. Thanks for having us. Oh, look, he's got exclusive news there. Another unabridged audiobook.
And also, Eckhart's huge fan of the channel. I knew you might be doing the video for a while, but I did know you were going to reference my articles. So thanks for the shout out.
Yeah, it made Dylan happy, because for his birthday, no one wished him happy birthday.
No,
That was
The
Nobody
Twin Sons
can-
chat did.
say what?
Twin Sons did. It was obligatory though.
Oh, that's right. Y'all had to. I forgot about that. No, he said, "Thank you. Look at that." Yeah, thanks for making it.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I tell Dylan every time we do one of these donation events for Twin Sons. Thanks for making my job so darn easy.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I'm not an audiobook person, but audiobooks are very popular right now, and that's what people want to want to read. I mean, want to listen to. And like Bruce and Steven, two of my guys on my podcast who come on there. Steven comes on there all the time, but he does nothing but audio, and Bruce does nothing but audio now. So yeah, an audio version of that Heart of the Jedi would be good. And I know Joe was thinking, I had just talked to Joe earlier today about Supernatural. If anyone doesn't know, Supernatural Encounters was something that was supposed to come out, I believe, on StarWars.com, but it got canceled with everything else. Joe went ahead and just released the story. It was supposed to be one of those 6-part stories that Jason Fry used to do. He was going to do one, what didn't make it. So he said, you know what? He let me read it. I called it, and he quoted me on it, the Silmarillion of Star Wars, because it just has this enormous account of all the odds and ends stuff from everything Star Wars. And it's interesting, but it's a heavy read. I mean, you have to put your Wikipedia glasses on. I was checking it every
You got to
page.
have it up in another tab.
You
One of
do.
those.
Literally every page I was looking up Wikipedia to see what I was reading. And I mean, sometimes I didn't. Now, the new version, he's added several hundred pages. I mean, he'll tell you this in the interview, but he's added a lot more to it. I'm excited to see it. I'm very excited to see it. I think it's going to be just amazing when it comes out. I'm going to get me a copy. I'm getting me a copy soon, but I'm going to be involved with helping him out on a few of the things in that too. Joe's another one that he's just an unsung hero for EU stuff, because he's the one that really went out of his way to find a bunch of this stuff. I contributed to maybe one thing that's on his website, but everything else he's gotten on his own, and he's done such a fantastic job of just making it available. I mean, his site is just so invaluable. So if you haven't already, check out StarWarsTimeline.net. Definitely worth it here. Yeah. What is the most obscure book you can think of? Furry as an Ewok. Or Shiny as a Droid. It's one of the Touch Me books. Please watch my review on the Touch Me books. They're not as good. Probably my favorite episodes to do was probably the Jedi Prince series. It was so much fun, and I was laughing because I was making jokes about how bad it was, but at the same time, I really do love the Jedi Prince series. Oh, right on. Yeah. I'm talking about there's another story out there called Supernatural Encounters. It's written by Joe Bongiorno. It never made it out to print. I think it's supposed to be on StarWars.com. And of course, when Disney took over, it got a cease. Everyone got a cease and desist from their stories. They were going to stop it. So he went ahead and released it, and I got to read it a long time ago before he put it on his site. And I thought, yeah, this is really good stuff. And he had asked me for some points, anything I'd change, and I gave him a few things, and he said, well, I feel this was a character. I said, no, I don't feel that was his character, because we were not arguing, we were just debating over character. And he said he changed it. He said he changed that's in the notes. In fact, you've read it too. Okay. All right, right on. Yeah, it's quite a dig, right? I mean, that thing is, it's not something it's not light reading. You go to the picnic and just kind of breeze over. It's really serious. And but it's really good. I found it really interesting. There's a lot of interesting stuff. I've talked about it maybe on a podcast a long time ago. I can't remember, but I'm going to wait and see the new version, because I did hear a rumor that the main character will run into someone with a friend Ewok who has an Ewok. I'm just saying. That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. I have not read anything, but I've heard that. So that would be kind of cool. Here's We can have one of course for assumption. Yeah, I agree with that. Hold on.
That's like a one
They
of
don't have Skywalkers? I thought Skywalkers was on the site. Isn't that on the site? It used to be.
I thought that was a StarWars.com one.
Was it?
Well, Abel G. Pena was supposed to release Skywalkers, but they didn't for some reason. But it got released on Joe's site though. King of Coopers, I think that's on his site. I don't know, but we have some people checking right now for you because we like getting an answer immediately.
That was actually another one, kind of the forgotten one between the two, because for the first printing of Heart of the Jedi, because Skywalkers that also came out around the same time, that one also got a printing. That one was only available in paperback, but it got a printing around the same time and got taken down almost as fast.
Let me try to talk about. Hold on. I'm getting a lot of. Wasn't there a book called Adventure Tebow? Yes. Did you know it was written by director Joe Johnson, director of Captain America? He was one of the affiliates of Lucasfilm back then, and during the Ewok thing, he wanted to write a little children's story. It is fantastic. It's very adult, meaning it's very kind of dark for a children's novel. There's one. I just recently talked about this. I feel like, but the Duloc is wearing the fur of one of their friends, meaning he recently ate him. And then how one of the Dulocs die is the wind gods blow him off the cliff and he splatters against the mountainside. And you're like, what? So that was a children's novel back then. I remember reading that going, what the heck? We don't know, Noah. So get it today. In fact, get two
if you haven't, get it as soon as you can because nobody knows.
You know, I have seen that by Jason Fry. I'll tell you this. The Essential, by the way, the Essential Guide of Warfare, I did a long time ago. I did the Star Wars Guides to Guides. It was right before I started doing them through, my reviews. And I'll tell you what, Essential, Jason Fry's Essential, in fact, that came out. Is that on Joe's site too?
Is it?
I can't remember. Here, Scott Johnson, Skywalker's on the site there. Ordered your copy yesterday. Good. But anyway, the Essential Guide to Warfare just blew me away. It was
a great book.
So good. It was.
I was actually using it as a reference material for my RPG I was running.
I bought Ryder's Jedi book. I bought the Atlas, and I think Guide to Warfare. I remember where I was when I was reading it. I was sitting in my nephew's Little League games, and whenever he wasn't up to bat, I was just reading it. But that one just blew me away, and it was better than the Atlas, and probably better than Jedi. But Jedi was surprisingly good too. Ryder did he had story with his, which really impressed me. Remember, because his happens during Mara Jade's funeral. Some of the story, y'all remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Vaguely recall that, yeah.
Yeah, and I was very impressed that he weaved it in to give it a timeline there with the EU. I actually spoke to him about that. I just thought that was impressive. So yeah, but his uncut version is interesting too.
But Jason Fry's had 2 Superstar Destroyers going toe to toe, so that was pretty awesome.
Okay. Yeah, go watch his Top Calf reviews. They're much better than any amateur on YouTube right now who's doing his own reviews of the EU. I'll tell you that.
Amateur that's been doing it for what? You're on 6 years now with Matt's Expanded Universe?
6 or 7 years doing it. Dulocs. I'd love to see Dulocs in the movie, John. John, will you be able to join my live Q&A tomorrow morning, since it's maybe more feasible your time?
Is that tomorrow morning?
You know what? I think I printed out that. I think I have that with that online West End Games Journal. Remember I think I showed you this. I didn't know what it was from. It talks about episode 1 stuff. I got that a long time ago on one of those shady download sites. It looked somewhat legit. So you missed supplemental on that one. I mean, you never know. You never know.
I mean, if there's supplemental material for those guidebooks, I'd be all over that.
So I have
John, I'm starting probably at 7:45 in the morning. my time.
I have a theory on why Part of the Jedi has lasted this long, and it's basically because Disney is sort of a little bit scared of going after Amazon, because if for some reason it did go to a court battle, Amazon might be the only company or one of the few companies that could outspend Disney. I don't think they would do it, but I think there is that possibility, and maybe that's got them a little bit hesitant to like go too hard on trying to take it down.
I'll be honest. I think they do know that it's a fan work. I think they do know the prices for self-publishing, and they do realize the person isn't making any money off it. I don't think they feel threatened because it's selling out to the fans. But a part of me wants to say that they're looking and they're taking notes.
I hope so. That's what I hope.
Part of me wants to say that they're saying, okay, let's see how far this thing goes. If it gets too crazy out of hand, like if it's number one, that they're going to pull the plug. That's embarrassing. It's already made it super high. But at the same time, I'd like to think that they're looking at that and taking notes. I'd like to think that Del Rey's looking at that and saying, we need to press harder. We need to press harder to see if we can get some more legends.
Well, at the moment, with that last update from 10 to 6, it actually passed Light of the Jedi, which has had its discounts taken off, so it's now at full price. That's expected, and it is 2 behind on the audiobook of Thrawn Ascendancy, book 2. I'm not as familiar with the newer ones. Greater Good.
See, most people stay up for the election results of a presidential race. Dylan will be putting the results up for this Amazon tracking thing, folks. So just keep checking our website.
I have, sorry I didn't get a post about it today. I've actually was very busy today. I'll have one tomorrow.
Yeah, you should be sorry.
You're terrible, awful. How dare you?
Actually
go to class today.
You know what? Hold on.
You're no longer a contributor.
You know what? Hold on. You guys will get a live update. How's that?
There you go. But while you're looking that up, folks, again, I want to say that if you are interested in creating content for the expandeduniverse.com, just let us know. Yeah. I mean, I've had just a ton of ideas. I've been on a writing streak there. Just some fun stuff to think about. I gave Dylan an idea for July. I like how he ignored my text on that. But I think Dylan would really like doing that, and I would really like to see it. All right, Dylan, let's get the live event, then we'll call it.
So this is what the Excel file looks like that I've been using to update this all. So this is the times. These times are in GMT. This is the ratings on the science fiction adventure list. That's the ones that Star Wars books do the best on. So that's what I've been using to get the screenshots of how well it's competing against other Star Wars books. This is the overall, how it's done. This is the estimated daily sales. This is the estimated daily sales per hour, which is just that this column divided by 24. This is how much time elapsed. This is the how many has been sold in that amount of time based on the update, based on the trapezoid rule. This is the total estimated sales from this, but because I've been informed that the website I've been using is a bit of an overestimation by about a third, I have the modified sales, which counts for that. So that's where this is what my numbers say right now the sales look like. And then as for the graphs, this is the science fiction adventure one, how it's been doing over you can see that little peak there. This is the overall rankings, kind of dipping. And this is what I meant when I said it's going down, but it's like going down very gradually. And then it just had that recent spike. And this is the hourly sales estimate. So the estimated number of sales per hour. And this is the one that you can definitely see the biggest drop in sales per hour as the rankings tanks. But then again, it kind of had a little bit of a bounce back recently, back up to about 27 per hour usually.
Yeah. Dylan, can you give us a 5-day forecast?
I think it'll do this again.
Okay.
I think it'll do this, and then it'll do this again, and then it won't recover. That's what I think. That's my forecast.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. So slightly cloudy, folks, with a chance of high sales coming in from the north. Then we're going to see a downward motion as we head into the weekend.
But unexpected others might pick this story up. You never know.
Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But all right, we're going to end it there. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. This was a lot of fun. I'm doing my Q&A in the morning time, so people overseas can join in. And plus, that's the only time I can do it. For those who don't know, I am. It was Dylan, the whole way, Dylan. Okay, so but for anyone who doesn't know, I'm in a wedding, which is why it's been such a busy week for me. So by 20th, if you count the one I was the groom for, but yeah, I'm too old for weddings these days, and but this was one of my last old friends who is finally tying the knot. So I'm happy for him. So yeah, that's why it's been somewhat of a busy week. But anyway, Dylan, again, thank you for counting the numbers. Brian, thanks for putting up with Dylan, and everyone.